Future Africa, a case for open building as driver of regenerative design, catalytic development, and the fourth IR as meaningful intervention. Hello, I'm André Eksteen, Director at Earthworld Architects. What is appropriate technology where you sit with the harsh reality of unemployment, but also the opportunity of informal systems, but where technology and digital manufacture have not yet got a foothold, and the opportunity offered by these new technologies have not been explored? I still believe in the Heideggerian principle, where making equals meaning. I don't believe that manufacturing should be something outsourced to such an extent where the source of an item is unknown or possibly unmeaningful to the person actually dealing with it. I explore open building and the disentangling of primary, tertiary and secondary systems as an opportunity to bridge this gap. Breaking buildings down into clearly defined elements offers the potential of outsourcing manufacture to small and micro enterprises. The tolerances and integration of elements is done by the architect in the digital realm. Assembly is done by unskilled labor on-site. The catalytic nature of mobilizing these micro enterprises can be highly impactful on an economy with huge unemployment. We design not to simplify the management of the contractor, but to allow for establishment of new industries and micro enterprises which can be funded by community banking. New small factories or bureaus utilizing digital tools to close the gap between formal training and market access. It's easier to teach someone to operate a CNC machine than to train a master carpenter. Informal systems in the developing communities already exist. If these can be augmented with quality control and moderation of a whole new sphere of democratized industrialization can be established. This schematic illustrates the idea of mobilizing small and micro enterprises with digital tools funded by mutual banking or stokvels, where the architect as integrator in the digital realm use new tools to design this disassembled or disentangled components which can be assembled on site by unskilled labor. The brief called for 280 housing units, which we broke up into the precast concrete elements forming the main habitable space, and steel walkways which also carry all the services. Precast elements were used as primary structure. It was U-shaped and L-shaped elements. As secondary elements, I regard the windows being installed after the concrete was installed, with the furniture being your tertiary elements, which also offer the opportunity of further disentanglements, allowing for finer grain manufacture. All the furniture elements were assembly elements consisting of posts, props, counter elements, shelving. All of these can be manufactured in separate factories, then brought to site and assembled. An illustration of the posts and the props, which allows for versatile installation and also installation where the primary structure is not damaged during installation. These elements can easily be removed and added as required. The legibility of the building is clear in the sense that all levels of permanence can also be read in the tectonics. The primary, which is concrete and masonry, which requires heavy equipment through to the secondary structures, which is the steel and the aluminium, requiring lighter equipment, and then the tertiary systems being completely hand assembled by either the user or unskilled labor allows for future adaptability. This democratization of the building industry, which also forms the basis for a regenerative design or a catalytic development, is what was implemented at the hub, which is basically a dining hall. With the hub, the building was completely assembled on site by 8 unskilled laborers. Timber was used extensively as the tertiary system. Plywood and LVL were digitally converted into puzzle pieces, then brought to site and hand-assembled by unskilled labour. Illustration of the puzzle pieces, and then the engineered connector, which allowed for fairly simple installation and erection. No heavy equipment was used, and the design also allowed for a very rudimentary plant to assemble the building. Photos of the completed project with the sculptural poetics fairly visible, and redefining the value chain to be more inclusive is what I believe we achieved. Not only does the open building allow for adaptive reuse and recycling, it also allows for alternative, more inclusive contracting. This opens up the industry to smaller players and unskilled labour. The hub building was assembled by 9 previously unskilled labourers. Elements were all kept to a scale which can be handled by a human hand. Steel elements were designed within specific weight and size restrictions to allow elements to be carried by labourers. Opening the building industry up to allow for small and micro enterprises to participate in large projects is key to the project. Not one of the contractors responsible for the manufacture and installation of the tertiary systems have ever worked on this scale, nor have any produced anything of this nature. Using companies with established infrastructure are seen as low risk, but the increased cost and rigidity of these industrialized organizations do not allow for innovative, nor does it provide the opportunity for meaningful associations. The level of ownership taken on by the small contractors resulted in immense pride, meaning, and a sense of accomplishment, traits that has been lost to our industry since the Industrial Revolution, when labour were reduced to commodity. And the guys that did the work, and I take my hat off to them. Thank you very much.